Hi guys! What are we gonna do today? Christmas is over. We are ready for spring. With her, this is so fun. You can change out her accessory and add a different accessory in for each season. What a cute pin. Let's get started. So the first thing you're gonna need is use your template. But after we get this done, you're gonna see how we did this so you could change it to whatever you would like. The first thing I'm gonna do is use paper wire. I am just gonna cut an ample piece of paper wire and I'm just gonna fold it in half so I know where I'm starting. And where I'm starting is in between the two ears. This is folded in half, so I'm using the center. And I am going to, like we've done with other paper wire, I'm just gonna form this around the shape of this template. Going around the head. And this doesn't need to be perfect. It can be however you would like to shape it. This just gives you a guideline. Just kind of form and then I can fix it after I've got it put together. At the neck, I'm going to twist a couple times. And then I'm going to go down to do the dress. And I am going to twist this once. Then I am going to form her shoes. Just bringing that center piece and bringing it up, also reform it after I got it attached. And then I'm just gonna take this piece of wire and wrap it around here just a couple times to secure it. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the other boot. And trim these two ends. Just wrap that excess around. Now I can play with my boots some more and get them formed just how I want them. Now, for the arms, what I'm gonna do is find a center spot again and just fold this. And I'm going to bring my arm here into the center so it looks like you almost have a bow. And I'm going to twist both of these pieces around the center. And behind her, I am going to put it behind at the top of her shoulders where the neck is and then just secure some of this right around so these two ends will wrap around the body towards the neck. Twist the two ends together and then just trim it. None of this paper wire is going to show when we're done anyway. It's more just to use as your framework for the back. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna put our clay on this. I can still move this around a tad bit. So I am using my IOD air dry clay. I just like using a paper clay on this. It seems to work very nicely. So I'm just gonna put a little cornstarch on this plastic. See about how big that is, and I want to flatten this out at least to that size. Now after you've started this, you're gonna figure out how thick or how thin you might want your piece to be. And this is gonna get smoothed out many times. And actually the side that I am touching right now will be the back side. Let's make sure she fits on there. And actually I'm not putting the arms on quite yet. I'm just doing the head, the body and the legs, everything but the arms. So I'm going to put glue around the back of this and I'm going to glue this down to my clay. So I'm putting the glue on the actual paper wire around the outside edges. And I did the head, the dress, and the legs. I haven't done the arms yet. And I'm pushing this in with the glue so it will stay secure. The arms up. And what I'm going to do next is trim around this. It doesn't have to be real close. I'm just going to mold this excess around. The excess clay that I didn't completely cut off, I'm just pushing it back onto this paper wire, which is the back side. And at this time you can kind of form your pieces a little better the way you would like them, like your shoes or your boots. Right now we're just doing the back, so when you turn it to the front, you'll get a better feel for what it looks like. So I'm looking at the front side and I'm going to start molding this a little more to how I would like, but I'm still going to be able to do more, so I'm just getting myself started. If you have any wire that sticks through, you can just add a piece down and then we're going to form it. Okay, so what I want to do next is put her arms on. So let's do some arms. You don't need a whole lot, but then you can just take off what you don't need. So I'm attaching that there. Okay. So I'm going to put some glue on the front and on the back of the paper wire on this. And I'm going to roll this around the back so both sides are covered. If you have excess, you can just take it off. And do the same thing with the other side. Again, form my arm, cut off any excess. I already know her face is going to need more clay, and you're gonna see as we go along. What I'm gonna do is just add a little ball to the top of the face and just kind of squish it in a little, because we're gonna form a nose to get everything to stick here. I have a paintbrush with water, and you're gonna watch. When I get this very, very wet, I can smooth this and form this. Now on the template you can see pieces like a nose, two eyes, a mouth, and you can decide what you would like. Maybe some indentations for the shoelaces and some buttons, and where the dress goes around the neck and the hands. So I am just going to squish her nose in a little, and really if you have a nice brush, you really can almost form it just with water and a brush. And even for the ears, if I just have water on my brush and I just draw this line, it will indent into the ear. But you can also draw in there or however you would like to do it. But this really helps. You can see how it just smooths it all out. And down in here, we'll smooth this excess clay out also. Now you can see the back, you can see lots of paper wire, which is okay. I'm just gonna dry this off and put a little more cornstarch on here just so when I'm playing with this, it doesn't accidentally stick too much. So I'm just taking this wet brush, and you could just take a stylus or something else and draw. I'm just doing her neckline here with water. You could take anything to draw your lines if you would like. And then with your paintbrush, you can smooth it out. Just put a little bit of water on that, and then we can smooth that out. Now, on the arms, you're gonna wanna do that on the back side too, because the back of the arms are actually gonna be the front by the time we fold them over. probably gonna add just a little bit of clay right in here. Seal that up. This back will be completely covered with some paper at the very, very end. And maybe right here where this joint is, between the legs and the dress. So let's work on her face now. I'm putting in a little dot for an eye, and a little dot for an eye. And I'm just gonna do just a little line here for a mouth and smooth that out. Right here, I'm just gonna make 3 dots, pretending like they're holes for shoelaces. But you could even take a stamp and you could stamp in her dress to make a design. I mean, there's so many things you really could do to add to this. Just carefully add a few buttons down here. Now, this is the fun part. I am gonna very carefully, while this is still very damp, I am going to form her arms. And this is the size of the heart I folded in fairly well. And when it dries, it will shrink some. So I'm gonna go about there, and if I have to, I get a bigger heart for her. And the paper wire is holding it together here. And what's fun is you can switch out whatever she's holding also after she is dry. Let's move her little ears up. At this point, anywhere you've put paper wire, just very carefully, while it's still very damp, you can move your pieces around and it's not going to just break because the wire is in there holding it. So now what we need to do is let this girl dry. So I'm gonna make my heart next, and you can decide how big or small you want your heart. And they don't need to be perfect. I'm just going to have a little bend at the bottom, and then all I'm gonna do is twist the center around. And I want it small enough that I can get it down here that it doesn't cover her whole face. And once again, I am just going to glue this to some clay and do it the same way we did with the rabbit. Cutting this out, just a little ways from the edge. Forming this over the paper wire, and then I'm going to add some clay to the back side, but I'm forming it over now so I know exactly what my shape looks like. Adding a little water here. I just need to make sure it's going to fit in her arms here, so if it's too big, it's not going to. Now, if you wanted to stamp a word or something into your heart, you could do that now. And you can see on the template, I also have a carrot. All I'm gonna do, form the shape. I don't have any paper wire in this. All I'm gonna do with this is really, really easy. Draw a few carrot lines, and I'm just taking my X-Acto and lightly just making some lines in here. And then I'm going to make a hole in the top center so that you could either put paper wire coming out or raffia so the stems come out of this. I'm going to let this dry with these, and then we'll get back to this. So this is fully dry, and so we are going to paint her. I'm going to start by painting her body with crinoline, which is like an off-white light tan, but use whatever colors you would like. I'm just doing where her fur is right now, and then down here where her legs are, and in between right there. I'm gonna cover the back so you don't really need to paint the back, and making sure I'm getting all the edges here. Let this dry real quick and I'll start with the dress. We're gonna use Apothecary for her dress. So I'm getting both sides of her arms, the inside and the outside. Now let's do her boots, or her shoes. And I'm gonna use Hey Sailor for her boots. And that's the color of the paint, my DIY paint that I'm using. Okay, so let's let this dry and then we'll move on. I'm gonna paint our heart real quick. And I am gonna paint both sides of this. And I'm using Marquee Red. And I am gonna use Summer Crush for my carrot. Okay, so I'm gonna use my sealer. I'm using a polyacrylic Minwax. This happens to be a gloss sealer, and I am going to coat all of these and let them dry very quickly before we finish them up. So I'm gonna start with the lightest spots because I don't want my paint to bleed. And then I will do this dress. Cover my carrot real quickly. And this really just gives this a lot of really cool shine. So now I'm just gonna put a dark brown, and this is layered chocolate. I'm putting this over my carrot. Then I am going to wipe it back. So my paint is dry and I'm just gonna take a baby wipe and I'm just wiping this excess off, and it's gonna fill in the crevices where we made those lines. Let's put some of this layered chocolate on this heart and do the same thing. And I definitely want to fill in where her eyes are and where I've made a little line for her mouth and like these little buttons. So if you would have stamped the dress, this is where you would fill it in with this brown and you would have a really cute pattern on there. So I'm just wiping back this heart. I'm just lightly wiping this back. So if you wipe too much off, you can always add another layer of your brown and add more in, because your sealer is sealing that first coat of paint. And you want to be careful because you don't want to break her arms. So now I'm going to use some of my Distress Oxide, which is a little, it's not quite as dark brown. It's going to give me more of a fun tan look. I just added a little water to my brush to fill this in because I don't want to press too hard on this. And let's move it around with our polyacrylic. And I'm just going to seal these again. So I just took 2 pieces of paper wire and I'm just putting them together and folding them in half, and I put some green ink on them. I'm just going to squish it together. And that little hole we had in the carrot, I'm just going to push this in here. Then you can curl these or do whatever you would like. All bunnies need blush cheeks because they're out in the cold. So I'm going to do it more of a dry brush where I put a little bit of my marquee. And this is sealed, so I could even take some of this off if it's too dark, like that. Okay, so I'm gonna put a piece of craft paper behind her and kind of draw. I know I'm gonna need a little smaller than what I'm drawing. So I'm just gonna cut this out, lay it up on the back and see how much more I need to trim. Now you can see this is gonna be way too big. And also, when it comes to her arm, I'm probably only gonna cover to right here and right here. I'm just putting glue on the back of her. And this is a Mod Podge glue. And I'm not as concerned about this just being perfect on here, just enough to seal the back. Okay. So I hope you guys had fun with this concept and idea. What I was really trying to show you is how to use paper clay in a little different way. Using your paper wire, it gives it a little more stability. You can bend it and move it, and it will stay where you want as it dries. So whatever you come up with, I hope you give this a try, but whatever you do, have fun.